You're basically going to be giving your dog a chlorhexidine bath that we're going to go ahead and dilute to 1/2%. And we're only going to be doing this once a week. After you bathe the dog in the mixture, you're going to leave it on the dog for 5 minutes. Then you have to rinse thoroughly. Let me show you. This is how you're going to mix the 2% chlorhexidine solution. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to run it at 0.5%. So since it's already at 2%, if I wanted to half it, I would do 1 part chlorhexidine and 1 part water. But because I want to bring it to half instead of just 1%, we're going to do 1 part chlorhexidine and 2 parts water. I suggest that you start with the 0.5% chlorhexidine mixture we're about to make with water in order for it to not be too strong for your dog. If you notice it's not too strong, you could always go up to 1% and even 2%. So first things first, depending how big your dog is, you may want to use something like this, which is nothing more than a measuring cup. Over here we've written dogs only and NF, meaning not food. Okay, really important. Once you pour chlorhexidine into this, make sure you don't use the same container to feed your dog. If you're dealing with a bigger dog like I am, you're going to be using a bigger container. And the only thing you want to make sure is that you're putting in 2 parts of water and 1 part of chlorhexidine. So we already went ahead and opened up this bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it into here, and then from here we're going to pour it into there. So that's how we're going to start this out. And we're going to start out with 16 ounces of chlorhexidine. Okay, so we have 16 ounces of chlorhexidine. We're actually going to go ahead and bring that up to 32 ounces. There we go. All right. The next step to this now is we're going to be adding twice as much water. So that's going to mean that if we put in 2 full measuring cups worth at 16 ounces of chlorhexidine, we're now going to put in 4 cups worth of spring water. 16 ounces times 4, which is going to be 64 is what we're putting in. All right, so now we're all set to go ahead and bathe our dog. What we're going to do now is go ahead and bring my boy Fireball. The beauty of chlorhexidine is it will kill 90% of fungi. All you got to do is pour this on them after you've rinsed them with water and let it sit for about 5 minutes. And so the water is nice and warm for my boy Fireball. We don't do this all the time. It all depends how much water's on the ground, how much heat, and how much exposure he's had. You don't want to do these chlorhexidine baths more often than you have to. All you got to do is get him nice and rinsed, nice and wet, and then we're going to go ahead and pour. I like to pour from the back to the front. There's no rhyme or reason for that. It's just the way I've been doing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to scrub it into him everywhere, right? Especially where there's all the folds. Just going to get it in there. There you go. Make sure you put it in them armpits, right? All them places where yeast likes to show up at. And you're going to let him sit like this for 5 minutes. I know you don't like baths, buddy. I know. 5 minutes are up. Fireball could not be any happier. You want to make sure you rinse them off really well. You could do this once a week. At worst case scenario, twice a week. In this case, because we don't want residue, we're going to go ahead and dry them up with a towel. But in some cases, like white vinegar and water mix, you either want to let the dog air dry, depending what zone you're in, what region, or if not, you could use a blow dryer. Next up, we got the Midwest. For some reason, I always thought Colorado was part of the Midwest, but hey, who knows? Wet springs are going to fuel yeast, but even worse, farm dust is going to clog pores. So the pros that they have is dry spells, which is going to lower the humidity. The cons is the allergy spike. So how do you unclog pores? 3% salicylic acid It's going to unclog the pores by 25%, thus blocking yeast entry point. You can use it weekly, lather it for 5 minutes, and then rinse. Let me show you with my boy Blueberry. Is it on? Yeah. I apologize, guys. I just wet Blueberry. I thought the camera was on, but it wasn't recording. Either way, salicylic acid, right? That's what we're hitting him with. For those of you living over there in the Midwest, right? What happens is you get that farm dust. Not only do you get allergies, you get all the pores getting clogged up on you. Now, of course, Blueberry's making it hard for me because Blueberry doesn't like to take a bath. Make sure to get it all them inside of all them nook and crannies, right? The armpits, right? All them folds being between the toes, and just like we had done with Fireball in that chlorhexidine bath, we want to let it sit for about 5 minutes. Yeah, Blueberry just turned 1 year old on us a couple days ago. Get all that seborrhea out. Seborrhea is what they're releasing at the base of the hair by releasing oil or sebum at the base of that hair. It ends up that dogs also have mites on their body, and we end up feeding the mites as well. Sure we rinse them off well. Oh boy. Out west, arid cracks invite yeast. There's that crack word again. But after the skin is cracked and it invited yeast, there's something even worse that nobody really talks about. You know the wildfires that are always popping up in that area? They release particulates, which is nothing more than microscopic ash. And that causes irritation in your dog. We already spoke about irritation. It creates microscopic cuts or cracks that yeast love. So what's the pros of the arid climate? Low humidity. What's the cons? You guessed it. Particulates trap. So what's the solution? Coconut oil. You can apply a very small amount of coconut oil daily, and that will help hydrate your dog's skin, especially in places where it doesn't have protection from fur, or anywhere where you're seeing either the beginning of a hot spot or not much hair coverage. The other thing you need is an air purifier. Why, you ask? The air purifier will actually remove 70% of the allergens in the air inside of your home or a room. The coconut oil alone is going to reduce the risk of skin cracking by 20 to 30%. Now that you've heard the regional pros and cons and the solutions to their problem, if you happen to see a region that actually has a possible solution for you that you're actually not living in, make sure to drop a comment below and let me know. Guys, I've given you a lot of information in these 12 minutes, but in reality, there's still a lot more that I need to cover. From bedding to preventing buildup and everyday maintenance, which is crucial in your fight against your dog's yeast infection. It's been Raul from the Q, and I'll be catching you on this next video with that information.